The period of the judges lasted for around 400 years, and in this period of time the children of Israel 12 times turned away from the Lord, and the Lord disciplined them. And then they called upon the Lord for help, and the Lord raised up a judge, and worked through that judge to bless the children of Israel. But when that judge died, then the nation turned away again from the Lord. Judges chapter 3, we read today, introduces us to the first 3 judges. Now these are the nations which the Lord left, that he might test Israel by them, that is, all who had not known any of the wars in Canaan. This was only so that the generations of the children of Israel might be taught to know war, at least those who had not formerly known it, namely 5 lords of the Philistines, all the Canaanites, the Sidonians and the Hivites, who dwell in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal-Hermon to the entrance of Hamath. And they were left, that he might test Israel by them, to know whether they would obey the commandments of the Lord, which he had commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. Thus the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and they served their gods. So the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. They forgot the Lord their God, and served the Baals and the Ashtaroths. Afterward the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Cushan-Rishathaim 8 years. When the children of Israel cried out to the Lord raised up a deliverer from the children of Israel, who delivered them, Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel. He went out to war, and the Lord delivered Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand. And his hand prevailed over Cushan-Rishathaim. So the land had rest for 40 years. Then Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord strengthened Eglon, king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. Then he gathered to himself the people of Ammon and Amalek, went and defeated Israel, and took possession of the city of palms. So the children of Israel served Eglon, king of Moab, 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried out to the Lord raised up a deliverer for them, Ehud the son of Gera, the Benjamite, a left-handed man. By him the children of Israel sent tribute to Eglon, king of Moab. Now Ehud made himself a dagger. It was double-edged, and a cubit in length, and fastened it under his clothes on his right thigh. So he brought the tribute to Eglon, king of Moab. Now Eglon was a very fat man, and when he had finished presenting the tribute, he sent away the people who had carried the tribute. But he himself turned back from the stone images that were at Gilgal, and said, I have a secret message for you, O king. He said, Keep silence. And all who attended him went out from him. So Ehud came to him. Now he was sitting upstairs in his cool private chamber. Then Ehud said, I have a message from God for you. So he arose from his seat. Then Ehud reached with his left hand, took the dagger from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. Even the hilt went in after the blade, and the fat closed over the blade, for he did not draw the dagger out of his belly, and his entrails came out. Then Ehud went out through the porch, and shut the doors of the upper room behind him, and locked them. When he had gone out, Eglon's servants came to look, and to their surprise the doors of the upper room were locked. So they said, He is probably attending to his needs in the cool chamber. So they waited till they were embarrassed, and still they had not opened the doors of the upper room. Therefore they took the key and opened them, and there was their master fallen dead on the floor. But Ehud had escaped while they delayed, and passed beyond the stone images and escaped to Seirah. And it happened when he arrived that he blew the trumpet in the mountains of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down with him from the mountains, and he led them. Then he said to them, "Follow me, for the Lord has delivered your enemies the Moabites into your hand." So they went down after him, seized the fords of the Jordan leading to Moab, and did not allow anyone to cross over. And at that time they killed about 10,000 men of Moab, all stout men of valour. Not a man escaped. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and they had rest for 80 years. After him was Shamgar the son of Anath, who killed 600 men of the Philistines with an ox goad, and he also delivered Israel. My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we share this chapter together. We cover here a period of 146 years. This was a period of relative peace. Cushan-Rishathaim rose up from Mesopotamia, that's the area of Babylon or Persia, and coming down and overran the land. Now a king from there, Chedorlaomer, had come down in the days of Abraham, 500 years earlier. Now Cushan-Rishathaim comes down and he rules for 8 years over Israel, while the people cry out to the Lord for deliverance. And the Lord raises up Othniel. He personally calls Othniel. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he raised up an army to fight against Cushan-Rishathaim and deliver the people. The point was made at the beginning of the chapter that the reason these things happen was so that every generation would know war, that they might, as it were, keep on their toes. Each of us needs to resist the devil, that he might flee from us. There always needed to be an army for Israel to defend them. The army needed a leader, and this was the one that God raised up to lead the armies of Israel. And so there was peace in the land as Othniel ruled for 40 years. The Lord blessed Israel through this godly man. But when he died, the people rebelled against the Lord again. They stopped pursuing the way of the Lord. When the restraint was off, they went their own way. And so God allowed Eglon, king of Moab, to rise up against them, to fight against them. Israel was defeated by the Moabites, the Ammonites, and the Amalekites. They took over the city of palms, which is Jericho. Jericho, the walled city, had been destroyed, but people continued to live in that vicinity, although it had not been re-established as a walled city. They were required to send tribute to Moab. Again, we find the children of Israel cried out to the Lord, and the Lord raised up a deliverer for them. So Ehud, this Benjamite, who was left-handed, brings the tribute to Eglon, the king, a very fat man, then seeks a private audience in which he kills him, calls out the army to take back control from the hand of Moab. Ehud kills 10,000 of them to break the control that Moab has over Israel. So the Lord has given another 80 years of peace to Israel, both while Ehud rules and then while Shamgar, the son of Anath, rules. And he is famous for having resisted the Philistines and killed 600 of them with an ox goad. And so God raises up leaders in response to the plea of his people. A key verse that we must always remember: "Call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will answer you, and you shall glorify me." This is the key for God's people. We do get into trouble, but the Lord is always able to deliver us. He always has an answer to our problem. When we call upon him, we can experience that answer, and we can give glory to the Lord who has delivered us. This was the first third of the period of the Judges.